Hey there, folks. Just a real quick note. I know we haven't had a traditional show in a couple of weeks. We haven't forgot about y'all and we hadn't stopped. We had our baby about eight or 9 days ago, so we've been kind of taking it easy for the last couple of weeks. And then, of course, Simon is receiving some treatment for his health up north for 2 or 3 weeks. So we're both kind of missing in action. And we're going to be releasing another show next week that we've already previously recorded to kind of fill in the gaps. These past 2 weeks, we've just kind of been taking it easy. Now, this isn't going to be a traditional show. What this is right here is a Spaces on X that we conducted a couple of nights ago with a bunch of phenomenal people. I encourage you to listen to them and then go give them a follow. Been working very, very hard on relief efforts for the hurricane that's just crippled Western North Carolina, East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia. So we all got together and had a long conversation about who to donate to, the charities that are at work out there, some of the things that have been happening, going on, and ways that you can help, and some things that we've been listening to. And Spaces is a great place to go communicate. I encourage all of y'all to go get on X, which is formerly Twitter, get you an account, follow us at Get On Tap, and some of the people on here at Dogwood Blooms, Margot, phenomenal people, Appalachian Stanley, Smokey, our buddy, was on here, Chip from Being Libertarian, of course, he's one of the co-hosts for this show as well. He was on there for a bit. Brush Beater, former military scout. There was a great crowd, and people were allowed to come in and ask questions. It's kind of like a radio show to some degree. It's a little bit different of a format, but we had a good time with it, and we want to get that information out here to everybody, and I figured this was a good way to do it. So if you're looking to donate and support and help out, I encourage you to listen to this show and find out ways you can do it. And you can also go check out Samaritan's Purse and God's Pit Crew. Those are two of the organizations that have been popping up the most in our feeds. So it's been disaster, and it's been rough the past couple of weeks between what we've all been dealing with personally, and now as a community, as Appalachia is weakened right now and under a lot of stress. We've been trying to do everything we possibly can to at least keep updated. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This is going to be everywhere that you normally get your shows at. If you haven't subscribed to our Patreon yet, please go do so at patreon.com/getontap. It's only $3 a month minimum. You can always give more if you want to. And a lot of that money, we always put it right back into Appalachian. It's been really helping us out quite a bit here in the past couple of days with coordinating and getting people together and speaking with people to get as much help into North Carolina as we possibly can. So that's a huge, huge help. And I apologize to our subscribers out there. We also haven't had anything the past couple of weeks for them for the same reasons. Nobody else has released a show, but go check us out at patreon.com/getontap and be keeping in tune, because the next week or two we'll be back to some episodes and we'll be back in the thick of things before you know it. So thank you, everybody out there. Thank you for everybody that joined in and helped us with this. And God bless everybody out there still struggling. Feel free to please reach out to us if you need any kind of help, anything shared, any information you want out there. You know how to get in touch with us. Take care. All right, it's about 4 after. I think it's time we go ahead and get the ball rolling with this in the fashion we kind of want to get going. I wanted to start off by first saying welcome, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and joining us here. I don't really know what my ultimate goal is to do here, but I haven't been able to sleep very good the last couple of days. I've had a lot of uneasy feelings about what's going on, and with a 10-day-old baby and my co-host getting cancer treatment in New York, we're kind of limited on things we can do. But if we can use the power of X and social media to at least get some information out there and get people as enraged as we are, then, it's something. And maybe we come up from some ideas from here to move forward. And I know, everybody that I've invited to this to be a co-host has done tremendous work. I was just driving down the road, taking my son to my mother's for a little bit, and it just hit me. I was thinking that God works in mysterious ways. I've got all these people through the X world that I follow for various reasons. They don't a lot of times have a lot in common. Sometimes they do, but for different reasons that I like. And at the moment like this, we realize, well, there was something to that, because I've invited, Cassie and Smokey and you on here. And then for the last 2 or 3 days, I've seen y'all pretty much nonstop trying to work this through, trying to help people send links. So it's a beautiful thing. So thank you all for that, first and foremost. For everybody else, I'll let them introduce themselves. But I'm Billy. I'm one of the hosts of the Appalachian podcast, and we're located here in Franklin County, Virginia, which is the moonshine capital of the world. Sorry, North Wilkesboro and Gatlinburg. But
Haywood County.
Oh yeah, it's all second place to us. So, but that's where we're at, and we haven't been hit too awfully hard. I know there's been people here in our county who've been without power, but nothing severe to report, which is good, because normally the path the hurricanes take, we're usually ones that takes the brunt of it, because we're a little bit closer to the coastline than most, and the path typically comes right up through there and hits our side of the mountain. But this go around hadn't been quite as bad, so I'll go ahead and let the other ones introduce themselves and kind of what they do, and we'll go from there. So whatever one of y'all wants to jump next.
I'll go.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Thanks, sir. Hey there, y'all. I'm Cassie. I am the Queen of North Carolina. I run a blog called Where the Dogwood Blooms, and I'm also the host of a podcast by the same name. So my roots are in Canton, North Carolina. That's in Haywood County, which is the true moonshine capital of America. And, I've lived all across the state. Once a hillbilly, always a hillbilly, though. So I've been doing my best to try to get information out there, and I'm sure we're going to dig into that later. But nice to meet you all.
All right. NC Scout. You can just call me Matt. Obviously, wrote some books, Gorilla's Guide to Baofeng Radio, and a lot of other ones. I've got podcasts, Radio Contra. Anyway, I do a whole lot of stuff. Just wrapped up a big class out in Missouri. Was driving across the mountains, the Appalachians, specifically when as this storm was hitting, and got some pictures of the travels. I ended up having to take I-81 just past Knoxville and Pigeon Forge, because they were already diverting traffic off of 40. And that was kind of a rough ride home. But, we'll be talking about all that tonight, but glad to be here.
I guess last but not least, myself. I'm Smokey. I head up the State of Appalachia project. Originally, it started off as trying to make a 51st state out of Appalachia, but more and more recently, especially noticing the lack of federal response, I kind of pushed for Appalachian independence. I'm out one county over from Billy and the Appalachian podcast guys over here in the New River Valley. And yeah, thanks for hosting us, Billy.
Yeah, no problem. I'm hoping that Chip and the guys from Being Libertarian are going to jump on here soon. I don't typically not get messages from him, so I guess here in the next bit I'll get something from him, or a heads up. Maybe he's running behind a little bit. So,
well, they got power down there.
Yeah, I think he's good. I think everything's good on his end. He might just be doing something with the family and got caught up. So, and of course, we're going to hear from some other people in here too. I hear everybody that's requested to be a speaker. Please, if you want to speak, feel free to hit the little raise your hand icon down there. We'll get to as many people as we possibly can, because I do want to hear from people that have been closer to everything that's going on and might be able to help us on that front. The first thing I wanted to get into real quick before we get into meat and bones is to talk about some organizations that are doing good work. If you want to be able to send your money to somebody that you know is going to get in there and it's going to help people, that for every dollar, 85 cents isn't going to be going to admin fees. And we've been looking around to some of these places, and the couple that I'm going to name, and please, you all feel free to add on top of it. God's Pit Crew, they're right there in Danville, Virginia. Known about those guys for an awful long time. I see them out everywhere. I've been to their facilities. My folks have worked with them before, so they're really, really good people. And they're on the ground. They're getting in there. Probably already there if they're not. I know they've sent trucks to the southern part of the United States, maybe Georgia and Florida, but they were, last I checked, they were still checking everything around Carolina. And hopefully you all can get a little bit more detail about just how ridiculous it is, especially around Asheville, getting in and out with traffic. But God's Pit Crew, they're a good one to follow. Samaritan's Purse, I know I've got family that works for them, and as far as I know, they're pretty legit. And I know they're actually headquartered right there in Boone, so they're in the middle of everything. So I'm not sure how much that's hurt them or helped them being right in the middle of it. I know they have people all around the country, so that's another good one to look into. And then beyond them, honestly, Cassie and Smokey, if you go follow them on their X accounts, I'm not sure if they're pinned or not, but I've shared all of them. They have phenomenal threads with tons and tons of people sharing links, sharing ways to support, and sharing ways to help. Because the last thing you want to do is we're all cash strapped as it is to start sending money to somebody who's just going to blow it. So those are the two that I've been aware of. And I know y'all two have been doing great work. So what are some other ones that y'all have come up with or y'all found that are in the mix right now getting it done?
I'll let you go ahead first, Cassie.
Thank you. So, Baptists on Mission is a really cool one. They are looking for volunteers right now. This morning in church, it was brought up. I have reached out to my church to ask them to please adopt Canton. That's where I'm from. So, I'm really, Canton is one of those places that gets glossed over. Right now in North Carolina, Boone and Asheville, that's where everybody's attention is turned. And yet, there's widespread devastation throughout the entire region. And so I would really like to highlight some of those smaller towns. Baptists on Mission is one of those groups who does that. They do accept volunteers. So if you want to get hands on with this, they would be a great route to go. Also, I wanted to say don't overlook the smaller people who are collecting funds right now. I put up together a fundraiser for Haywood County. Right now, I have not given out how that money is going to be dispersed only because communication is down in Haywood County. So once I can get through to churches and local organizations, that's where those funds will go, is directly to my home county and into the hands of those who need it. I just don't feel comfortable personally giving funds somewhere where it may, and no offense, I feel sorry for everybody, but I don't want to give my money to somewhere where it could be diverted to Florida. Right now, my main concern is back home. And so that's my goal. And there are plenty of others. I can't remember his whole name, but I will drop it in the purple pill. A guy named Josh, who is into weather chasing and all that kind of stuff. He is actually taking up funds right now. He personally is going to the stores and then going back and dropping them off places. That's another good person. But it is pinned at the top of my profile, just a huge list of places that are accepting volunteers, donations, and supplies.
That's awesome. Thank you. Actually, Baptist on Mission is one of the ones that I have, and I've now pinned the post that has the list of stuff. There's 4 specific ones that I'm just going to highlight real quick. Some things that people might not be thinking of. The Western North Carolina Regional Livestock Center, based in Canton, I believe. They're working to help farmers and animals that were affected by the flood, and you can donate towards helping local farmers who need to buy feed for their animals. They'll also help supply fencing and other essentials. Contact Yvonne Coburn with the Civilian Disaster Response Group. There's a phone number associated with it there. One group I keep hearing a lot of good about is Samaritan's Purse. They're actually in all the major states affected right now. From my understanding, they are working out of the Alliance Bible Fellowship Church in Boone, North Carolina right now. And they're assisting hospitals with a 2-tent unit in Watauga County Medical Center, providing oxygen to people that don't have electricity at their homes. Another one is the Operation Airdrop people. They fly in essential supplies and meals to disaster-stricken areas. Currently, they're focusing on Western North Carolina. You can volunteer if you have your own equipment as a pilot, flying equipment, supplies, and food in, helping airlift people out. You can volunteer as ground crew, where you'd be packing, organizing, and loading supplies for delivery. You could also donate supplies or make monetary contributions. Their staging location is the Concord Regional Airport, and the supply drop-off is the Walmart parking lot in Concord, North Carolina. A bunch of people were talking about already volunteering with them. They say that tomorrow they are going to begin regular flights out of the airport there. And the last one, it's not a specific organization, but contact the local county animal shelters and ASPCA agencies. Ask how you can donate to help feed and house the animals affected by the storm. That's what I got, Billy. Thank you.
Excellent. Matt, do you got anything? Because I know you have a lot of connections down there, especially in this kind of situation.
Not anything new. I want to back up what you said about God's Pit Crew. I've got some kin that are involved with them. you won't find a better group of people. I actually have their website pulled up in front of me. I was seeing if they had any announcements as far as where they were going to be dropping stuff off, or they had a pickup site. Doesn't look like they have anything on their website. I'm sure I can reach out and find out. I ain't gonna call them right now, but definitely will be in the morning. But God's Pit Crew, and if you're in Southside Virginia or Northern North Carolina, all along the borders, Danville, South Boston, Martinsville, Galax, that area, they have connections all throughout there, all the way up to Lynchburg. Them, Samaritan's Purse. I've got several personal friends that work at the Samaritan Purse headquarters in Boone. I haven't been able to get in touch with any of them. I reached out to one good friend of mine and didn't get anything back. I don't know if that was because they're without power or were without power when I talked to him, or he's just their workload is that high. It's probably some combination of both. But those are the two big ones that, just as you pointed out, that I would say donate to, that aren't going to take advantage of people and aren't going to, divert your funds elsewhere. I mean, I know the American Red Cross, a lot of people kind of default to that. I'm going to tell you from, my personal experience, you might want to look more local. There's a lot of local organizations. And really the bottom line is, your local church, whatever church family you're a part of, regardless of denomination. I'm sure people are going to be taking up donations and they're going to have a lot of connections out there. So get involved with that.
Yeah, I don't think that can be reiterated enough. Your local people, your local congregations, community members are going to be the ones that they're going to be there at the top of the list, ready to help you, and vice versa. And I think Kathy made a great point as well. Try and find out. There are some of these smaller pages and some of these smaller situations. Granted, you do have to do a little bit of due diligence and hope that it's not going somewhere that it shouldn't, because everybody likes to take advantage of a situation like this. It's not just the top. Everybody from the government down to crackheads will not know good tragedy go to waste. So do your due diligence, but also, keep in mind there are people out there. Our main focus for today will be on Western North Carolina, I think, a bit for East Tennessee. Unless anybody, I know Damascus in Virginia is underwater and it's not looking very good. There's been some road washouts here and there, but for the most part, I think Virginia's okay. Couple of deaths, unless anybody's got any other information on that. I saw Black in Blacksburg, the New River Junction was underwater, and some places along the New River, but I don't think it's
Narrow's got hit pretty hard too. Trailer park there is wiped out. Before we get into that, Billy, can I just add one more thing real quick?
Absolutely.
So early this morning, I got a message from a guardsman that's deployed overseas, and he has a buddy that's stationed in Japan right now. He's a local of Asheville. His mom lives in the city currently. He has not heard from her since the storm first hit. He's just looking for anybody that might have information. Her name is Zoe Davis. They live in I think it's the Teams Road block of the city. I'll post it in the comments here, but there's 2 phone numbers. If you have any information on her, please reach out to them. Let's just try and get this. Oh boy. Let's just try and get this, soldier or Marine, whatever, sailor, whatever he is, some information.
What area did you say it was in? Asheville? It's
in Asheville. Hang on, I'm trying to look up the exact post.
Yeah, if you can put it down in the purple pill, I'll share it.
The Teams Lane area of Asheville. Okay. I posted it as a comment, and it's also on my page, shared with the Billy. There's a photo of her and 2 phone numbers. The first phone number is the son of Miss Davis, and the second one is the gentleman that reached out to me. I know there's a lot of people that are missing right now, but at least back home stateside, they have, we have plenty of options and ability to try and reach out. I think all the way across the world, it's a little bit harder.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So most of my followers are from North Carolina, so I'm happy to share that here in just a minute.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And Billy, I'm actually going to have to hop off in a little bit, so thank you for giving me a chance to speak, brother, and we'll see what tomorrow has.
Billy, did you lose connection?
I think he did.
I think he did. I'm going to go ahead and start accepting requests if y'all two are okay with that.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it to you guys for now. I'm going to hop off. I got to put up my chickens and get my generator set for the evening. But thank you guys for all your.
I don't really know what happened right there. I mean, I don't have connection issues. I got perfect internet. I'm right here, even next to my modem, and I've had issues before where, um, connectivity issues and it'll just bounce right back. But this was different. It just completely killed the entire stream. Cassie, can you or Matt one speak real quick just to make sure it's coming through on my end?
Yep.
I'm here.
Perfect. Excellent. All right. We'll give it we'll give it 2 minutes. Let everybody kind of file back in here if you want to go reshare it. Like I said, I'm not really sure. I've had connectivity issues before, but I've never had it outright just removed. So we'll give them a couple minutes. I'm going to go reshare it real quick, and then we'll jump back on in 2 minutes.
Right on.
All right. I just sent a message to Margot, so hopefully she'll come back in because she is in Murphy County, North Carolina. She has been sharing a ton of info too. She will have more information about what's going on closer to, Murphy, Swain County, near the Tennessee border.
Perfect. And I see a couple people in here as well. I like to speak. I've seen some of the things they've been posting. Another one I would suggest y'all to go follow if you get a chance is Billy Bolin. His videos, I think he got some drone footage from the very beginning. It's at BA Bowling, BOWLING 12. And that is strange because somebody had tagged me on one of his videos and said he's getting great coverage, but his account's a little bit smaller, this and this. I think he was actually trapped in the middle of it. He somehow got out. Actually, he just sent me a message as I'm talking. He says, just seeing this, been in Damascus all day long, working and covering the damage there and cutting people's driveways back open. Sorry if I missed it. I'll be happy to do it. We're going to give it because he's had some phenomenal coverage. Great videos. I think he got trapped there in the middle of it and somehow got out, but he had his drone. If you've seen some of them out there, that's probably his work. And it's strange somebody had tagged me on one of his posts, and I went and I saw the name. I was like, that's strange. And I looked at his location. Well, that's weird. I said, the guy who shot our wedding was the exact same name and turned out to be him. So it's a strange, small world, but he's done phenomenal work. So go give him a follow. And he might actually join us here because he just sent me a message back. All righty. We'll go ahead, and I think that's a good opportunity to jump back in if y'all are ready to go.
I'm ready. I do want to say real quick, though, that I just found out that Chris Christopherson passed away today. So everybody pour one out.
Nah, that's
Oh, man.
he's the legend.
Yep. His performance in Big Top Pee Wee was second to none.
Convoy.
I don't know if anybody's old enough to get that joke.
Convoy? Oh, Big Top Pee Wee? That was when I was little.
Yeah.
I was like 4 or 5. Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he was the carny or whatever it was. And that's
Yeah. He was a truck driver in Convoy. He was a rubber duck.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, perfect. Smokey's back. I know I think he's got to get out of here, but can you hear us, Smokey?
That sucked, man.
Perfect. I don't really know exactly where you were in your thought. I know you have to get out of here, but you were saying something before we got cut off. You'd went into something, and if you can remember what that is and go forward, we can pick back up. But if not, I understand.
Yeah, no. Give me 1 second to scroll down to it. I think we got through it, but just in case we didn't, I had a guardsman or a soldier deployed overseas reach out to me early last night. And he said that his buddy who's deployed to Japan, so I'm guessing he's a Marine, is a native of Asheville, and his mother still lives in the city, and he has not heard from her since the storm hit, and is asking for help with attempt to locate. Her name is Zoe Davis, and she resides in the Teams Lane area of Asheville. If you have any information on her whereabouts, please contact the numbers that are associated with the post. I dropped it into the last one, I'll drop into this also, and there's a photo of it. What I was saying is that it's, one thing to be here or even in Virginia trying to reach somebody down in North Carolina. It's another thing to be 10,000 miles away trying to figure out, what's going on with your loved ones. So if you can help, this guy find his wife or his mother, that'd be a great help.
Absolutely. I've been sharing anything like that I see or comes across or anybody tags me. I'm trying to share it and get it out there because I can't I can't imagine. It gives me a sick stump to my stomach even thinking about it. So yeah, if you see stories like that, try and get them out there and share them to get to anybody, getting everybody, and hopefully something happens and something comes through.
But that's all I got, brother. I got to go and finish putting up all my birds and stuff and get the house ready for the evening. Thank you so much, and God bless you all, and stay safe, Appalachian.
Thank you much, my friend. I'll be in touch with you here shortly. All righty. We've had a Billy Bolin, the one I was just telling you all to go check out his videos and give him a follow, has actually joined us here. So I'm going to let him speak for a moment because I think he was right in the middle of all of it when it went down, and his footage has been second to none. It could be probably the most viewed on the X sphere currently. So, Billy, good to see you and talk to you again, brother.
Hey man, it's good to hear you. I haven't seen you since what was a wedding last
Yeah,
year.
Catherine's wedding up in Lexington.
Yeah, that was the last time I saw you guys. How are you guys doing?
We're doing excellent. Kid number 3 is 10 days old in the bedroom right now, giving the wife all kinds of hell. And we've just been trying to piece everything together and get the ball
That's
rolling
what this.
here. So how about you and yours?
Yeah, we're doing good. It's been kind of a wild roller coaster of the last, let's say, 48 hours or so. It's mentally trying to decompress a little bit, and then I just turned around and went and got right back in it today to help out more. So
Yeah, can you kind of talk about that a little bit? Because I was kind of confused there for a bit. I see all this great footage and it's yours, and I'm like, well, he seems like he's right in the middle of everything, and they're not getting service out and all kinds of stuff. So what happened to get you caught up in the middle of all that?
well, originally, I'm a weather nerd by heart anyway. I've kind of migrated to chasing tornadoes, but not this year.
Oh, I'm gonna be.
He had a pretty solid idea that the flooding was going to be probably on par with, some of the worst stuff that we've seen. So I got up early Friday morning and I was like, I want to be in Asheville when this hits. That way I can kind of document it. Flooding, at least in this area, I've covered the flooding in Kentucky a few years ago, those big floods in Whitesburg. And, I covered this area at Southwest Virginia when Buchanan County and Hurley, Pilgrim's Knob, all of that's flooded really bad. So ideally, that's what I wanted to do, was just kind of cover it and tell the story and help where possible. The problem with even the best laid plans that we had for me to get there, by the time I was getting kind of coming down off Sam's Gap around the Burnsville Woodfin area, we started to really take probably the worst winds of the entire storm that came inland. I was on 26 and there were trees kind of dropping right in front of where I was at. There were cars on the northbound side that were having pine trees drop on them. NCDOT was trying to clear them off and they had traffic backed up, and it was kind of in the worst case scenario for people there. They were getting cars or trees dropped on their car while, they were just sitting there waiting for the road to get cleared. So I lucked out and I was close enough to Asheville. I didn't feel safe on the interstate, obviously with trees. So I bumped off the first exit on 240 and holed up in that little parking lot where there's an Earth Fair there and the crumble cookies and all that. It's real wide open parking. I sat there and kind of took the brunt of it. I had a weather station with me and we measured 94-mile-an-hour gusts of wind coming through that little cove there. I was watching pine trees just snap off and go flying through the parking lot. But we were safe there. Once kind of got a grasp of things were starting to slow down a little bit. There was no power. You already knew the power was gone. So I eased over into town, and luckily over around where the outlets are in the Waffle House on the west side of town, found enough power, could get a little bit of gas. I could check my phone and see, where the storm was and what was coming, and then made the plan initially covering the Biltmore Village. We had a feeling that was going to flood, so that was initially what I wanted to cover. When the eye wall kind of passed over to where you could get out and, I could fly my drone a little bit, I was able to do that. And then I have a buddy that was house sitting over in Black Mountain, and I lost communication with him. I was getting a little bit worried, and I finally got a hold of him. I was already on 40 headed that way, and 40 was a big mess like you would expect. And kind of by the time I got over there, everything was shut down. I couldn't get to him. And I took a chance. I was like, well, I'm really close to where I think the flooding is, so let me pop my drone up. Luckily, there was flooding there. I could see it enough to kind of get a little bit of a scope on it. But while I was flying, we started getting a lot of, emergency push notifications that the dam for Lake Lure was critical. There was a couple other reservoirs around there that I was getting push notifications that were critical or that they had breached. So at that point, we were kind of really unsafe. Made the call to kind of evacuate that area because it was all downstream from what initially would have, it basically took out Chimney Rock. What I was basically in front of ended up taking out all of Chimney Rock. So it was a good call to move there, but I evacuated the entire thing because at that point it was just not safe. I mean, I bailed back to Sam's Gap, but without signal, there was no communication at all. By the time I got back across Sam's Gap and was trying to ease back home, that's when we were made aware that Irwin had flooded so bad and that 26 was washed out. There was no way to get around it. So I mean, we're probably 5 miles from where the flooding and the interstate had collapsed there, so you really couldn't tell. We tried to get back, tried to take 40 all the way to the Smokies, and that's where I wasted a ton of gas at. But it was shut down at Lake Junaluska, so you couldn't even take that way to get back to 81. So you're just kind of trapped in at that point. I ended up getting all the way back to Sam's Gap with about 30 miles left on gas and kind of made the call just to camp there at Sam's Gap near the top. I had a lot of hiking gear with me, so I popped up to the top of the mountain and you could see the cell phone towers were still functioning in Johnson City. I was able to get like enough of signal there to get one text out to my wife and let her know that I wasn't dead. I hadn't talked to her in probably 12 hours. She was really upset. But car camp there. Irwin was still shut down next morning, but made the choice to kind of ease down and talk to the cops there. And believe it or not, I know your podcast is heavily Appalachian based, but if you listen to it and you know Appalachia well, you know the kind of fellas to look for when you need a favor. I was walking to get gas and just happened to talk to the right people to see how far gas was away. And they said, we know a secret bridge that's finally not underwater anymore. We'll get you across it. We'll get you to gas and get you out of here. Sure enough, they tucked me in between them and another truck and they escorted me past the cops like, that we were all locals, and somehow they smuggled me to the other side and got me out. And at that point, I was still kind of trying to figure it out, but I knew I needed to get video up as soon as I could. So as soon as I got to Johnson City, I hadn't really ate in 2 days. I piled up there at the Chick-fil-A and used their Wi-Fi to get tweets out as quick as I could. And I felt sure that, the world knew what was going on. I didn't really expect for communications to be so bad that I was going to be one of the first people to get video out. So it's been kind of a gift and a curse at the same time. I'm glad that I could get the videos up and get eyes on it and let people know what was going on. But, there's a headache that comes with that too. And it's got to the point probably about 2 hours in, I turned off all the notifications. I just couldn't keep up with it. So, but yeah, I got back home, thankful to be home and to have helped what little bit I could. I turned around today, and here in Virginia, it's really bad too. We've got a lot of tree damage, but had severe flooding in Damascus, Virginia. It's a trail town. Appalachian Trail runs right through it. So went over there. People here know me. They knew why I was there. I walked around town with a chainsaw and a camera, basically. And I was helping cut people's driveways back out, some older folks that just couldn't get out, and trying to document damage there as best as I could to tell the story. It's just part of it. I don't know where I'll be at tomorrow. I'm sure there's damage towards Tazewell and Richlands area here. So we'll just kind of pick and choose over the next few days where we can be of best help and go for that.
Well, I know, for one, real quick, you'd made a post about people were able to buy all of the coverage if they wanted to, and you were going to give proceeds to somebody. If you want to let them know what that was all about real quick. I saw that.
Yeah, so I work with a company called Live Storms Media. Basically, I upload video for them, and they sell it to news agencies because, news companies, they can't have people everywhere. But what those videos are doing, if, say, NBC News buys that video to air it or whatever, I get a paycheck out of that. Basically, what I'm doing for flooding coverage, I never keep any kind of money from that. Whitesburg, Kentucky, we donated $10,000 back to Whitesburg, and Pilgrim's Knob we gave $6,000 back to. So any kind of monetary thing like that, we always try to find an organization to donate it back to, because there's people that have nothing left. So if we can do any little thing with any sort of organization, we try to kick it right back into where it came from. I'm a photographer. Me and my wife do weddings, but I do a lot of landscaping and hiking stuff too. So, I'm really fond of this area. I've got a print shop that we do images of the area. And people buy them, just small prints or big prints, whatever you want. And we worked with the company that hosts our online store to eliminate fees on that. If you buy a print, anything on the store, 100% of those proceeds we're going to donate back into anything here locally, either Damascus, Irwin, some of the communities around Asheville as well. We've got a couple other people around in this area. A CBD shop buddy of mine, he has 11 different stores. He's donating $10,000 back to most likely Damascus, because they serve the Southwest Virginia area specifically, but we're just trying to do a few things. I work with a weather group here locally in Southwest Virginia as well, who's putting together a drive for clothing. We're taking pizza over to first responders tomorrow in Damascus as well. We do what we can to give back. It's a little bit easier that way. People have lost so much. There's no reason you can't help out,
Absolutely. That's kind of what we're trying to do here, is get some people involved and motivated, and at least find the avenues that they need to go. For me, I just got two real quick ones for you, and then I'll see if Cassie or Matt or anybody wants to ask you a question, or anybody that's listening.
Sure.
First, somebody that was there at firsthand. We mentioned Damascus before you got on here. I said I thought that was the one Virginia town that probably got impacted the most. And that, coupled with everything that you saw in Western Carolina, I mean, can you put into words the type of damage it is? I mean, is it something just mind-bogglingly wild that you can't even grasp it? Because from the pictures, it's worse. I mean, I spent a year in Iraq. It's worse than anything I can recall seeing over there. So I was just kind of curious perspective on that.
So just leaving Damascus, I mean, it's really fresh too. I was there from 3 until just now. Damascus, I mean, people have lost homes. I won't discredit that at all. Most of the damage there is really constricted to, there was one trailer park right beside of the river that's completely gone. There's, I talked to the sheriff. There were 9 homes in that park. One is still on its foundation and where it's supposed to be. 4 are swept into the wooded area behind it. They're just decimated. And then they've got like 3 that are missing. They have no clue where they're at. There's a couple bridges washed out. For the most part, a lot of businesses, like on the Main Street portion of it, they're good. They all had sandbags. I mean, there's a little bit of water damage in the floors. Some of the cottages, not too bad, but there's a couple that are collapsed. There's some cars that, the water's opened up underneath them in a sinkhole. So Damascus is pretty much on par with flooding I've seen over the years in Grundy. Maybe a little bit higher end than some of the flooding I've seen in Richlands from time to time. But to be honest, I was telling my wife last night and this morning, I still don't really have words for what I saw in Asheville and Black Mountain and Irwin. I thought Whitesburg, Kentucky could possibly be one of the worst things I've ever saw in my life, just for the sheer magnitude of what happened and what was missing and the loss of life that I saw personally. Irwin and Black Mountain ratchet that up a million times. It's just a completely different scale. There's homes that were standing on a flat ground for the most part in Irwin that there's now a 30-foot cliff where those homes were because the water just took it and deposited everything wherever else. It's just changed completely. I drive that road all the time. I know that area where the hospital is that they evacuated, and the fact that the water was over the roof at the hospital at one point is like, I just can't really comprehend that. Asheville, I mean, thankfully I kind of got out of there before the worst of the worst hit the city proper. I can say when I came back down Sam's Gap to try to evacuate through the Smokies, the French Broad River was actually up touching Interstate 26 as you come into the city. And that means New Belgium Brewing, that brewery that's right on the river, completely underwater. You could not see anything. I think there's an Advanced Auto Parts warehouse down there that's completely underwater. There's countless cars just floating down the river. I mean, I wouldn't say they're floating. The river was moving. So, I mean, it was just a complete, I just haven't saw devastation like that. But at the same time, I'm kind of thankful that I got out when I did, because I think over the coming days, as people start to kind of come back online and you start to see more videos, you still really haven't seen the worst of it. It's going to get a lot worse. And I've been trying to tell people that I talk to prepare for that. You know, even after the media coverage is on to the next big thing, you're still going to see stuff coming out over the next few weeks that's just going to blow your mind.
So I finally got news from family in Haywood County, and it was very brief. Communication is still spotty there.
It dropped again. Can people hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you. I'm back. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, if not, go ahead, Cassie.
Okay. So I only got just a few messages. My family let me know that they were okay. And then she said, and I quote, Haywood County is devastated. Now, I don't know who has lived through one of these before, but in 2004 in Canton, North Carolina, I was pregnant with this was my oldest. We had come up, my grandparents, there had been heavy rains beforehand. So my oldest was about a year old. Me and my husband go up, and we put out sandbags. We weren't expanding beforehand. So my oldest was about a year old. Me and my husband go up, and we put out sandbags. We weren't expanding. Hey, Billy, I don't know what's going on, but we're getting feedback.
Billy, there you go. Thanks, Billy.
We went up to put up sandbags, and they were expecting some flooding. So to give y'all an idea, the creek that ran beside my grandparents' house is about 3 inches deep. My daddy's house was below my grandparents' house. Well, we go to bed, and me and my husband were planning on leaving first thing in the morning. So around 11:30, maybe midnight, everybody's in bed. All of a sudden, I hear a thump. And when I try to go out the front door to see what's making the noise, all of the gravel from the walkway and the driveway had pushed up against the door. You couldn't get out. There was just water rushing at us. I mean, and this is like a river of water rushing at us. When we went to my grandparents' house to get them out, the water was up over our knees. So to put this in perspective, the flooding this go round in Haywood County, the Pigeon River crested 3 feet above what it did at its worst point in 2004.
And remind everyone where you're located, Cassie.
So I'm currently in the Sandhills, but I spent half of my childhood in Canton, North Carolina. That's where I was raised. I lived there with my grandparents. So we lived in Dutch Cove, and we lived pretty much on the ridge. We were 3 houses from the top. So this wasn't water that was accumulating, in a holler or in a valley. No. This water was rushing down the mountain through the homes and taking them out as it went.
I remember that storm. I was in Boone at the time. I was doing my undergrad at Appalachian, and I remember that. It actually caused sinkholes, and it's really interesting because I was watching the Fox version of the Weather Channel a little while ago, and one of their reporter people was actually standing by the same sinkhole that happened back in 2004 in Boone, and it opened up again right by the Walmart. And I was like, oh, I know where that is. It was up, but that was an awful storm. I'm glad somebody else remembered that, because it was bad in 2003 because there were 2 hurricanes that came up out of the Gulf that I think hit Mississippi and Alabama respectively, and then kind of took a similar track to Helene. But the difference was this time was that was, even though that was a lot of rain in 2003 and then again in 2004, which was if I remember right, that was an extratropical system that was after hurricane season had.
So that was Ivan. The one that I'm talking about was Ivan.
That's right. Yeah. I remember that now.
It took the same path. And whenever all of this started happening, I knew immediately that it was going to be bad. And I posted my story and I told everybody this is going to be bad. And I'm really, quite frankly, just pissed off that I got so many comments from people who are transplants, who aren't local to North Carolina or who have just moved here, who had no idea what to expect and found themselves trapped in Western North Carolina during the worst flooding that we've probably seen in a century. And I want to know, how does that happen? How can that possibly happen in today's age when we have all this information at our fingertips, when there are so many of us out there that were giving warnings? How did that happen?
Well, yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. And I literally said the same thing you were pointing out. I was wrapping up class, the RTO course in Missouri, and I was out by Springfield. And the guy that hosted that course wanted me to stick around. He's like, oh, man, you just got done teaching for 6 days straight, stay here overnight. I said, hey, man, look, I need to make tracks now to get across the Appalachians, because the track of this storm, I've seen this before. And my wife had sent me pictures of the damage that already had happened earlier in the week from the amount of rainfall that we got. Here, where I am more in the, I'm just not too far south of Danville, Virginia, gives you an idea of, my region that I'm located in. We had a huge amount of rainfall already. And I think it was like 5 or 6 inches, close to that, over a several day period of time. So the ground was already super saturated. And I was just looking at all that, and the track this hurricane's going to take. And there was another front that was coming through that it merged with. And that's what caused the amount of rain that we saw. And, I'm just fortunate that I was able to get through the mountains. I was coming home on the 26th. I got here that evening, right as it was pushing through on the 27th. And I tell you, it was, Billy, my story of getting through it was, don't hold a candle to yours, but it was already getting bad, and they were diverting traffic off of I-40. That's the reason that I took I-81. I took the northern route coming across Southern Virginia, and then hit 58 and came down to Stewart. And it was rough then. It was getting bad. Everything was real dicey. And you could just kind of tell, like I stopped in at Buc-ee's in Pigeon Forge to top off, on my final leg getting home. And it was, people were in there panicking. I've been in a lot of Buc-ee's, going between here and Texas and, all over the Southeast. I've never seen anybody panic like that, like those people were doing out there. I can't imagine what it turned into, but they were definitely, people were in there panic buying stuff then. But I remember all that. Yeah, I'm kind of rambling, Cassie. You're exactly right about a lot of transplants coming in, and people, they just don't have any memory, and they're fed nonsense. It's the whole, oh, well, it must be climate change, or we have to look for somebody to blame, or all this nonsense. It's like, look, this isn't a new thing. It's something we prepare for. It might be a little worse, or it might be a little bit better, but this is something that you have to prepare for. And this time, and I want to speak specifically on Canton, maybe, not yet, but I don't want to bogart the time. But
let me cut you off. I want to get some other thoughts here. Margot, you go right ahead now.
I'm from the furthest end of Western North Carolina, in the southwest most tip of North Carolina. I bordered Tennessee and Georgia in Murphy, in Cherokee County, and I just wanted to talk about that specific event because, a lot of things that happen up in this area get lost because there's bigger areas and more affected areas. But Macon County during that event had one of the creeks, I think it was Peak Creek, that went over the edge, and I think we lost 15 houses, 5 people. It was bad. It was bad. I remember that. It was horrible, actually. But Macon County specifically had the majority of losses out of the 4 western counties. And I just wanted to let everybody know, like, a lot of people forget about us over here because we're past Asheville. but we suffered those devastating things too. And the other event that I don't know that anybody here remembers is, I think it was in the early 2000s. I'd say it was 2008. We had so much rain that the town of Rosman slid off. The entire town slid off.
Thank you, Margot. Let's go to Reba. Reba, what would you like to say?
Hey, I just wanted to just address Cassie when she said that she was so surprised and shocked that so many people were not prepared. One of the biggest problems society has these days, it can't happen to me syndrome. And I just would like to remind everybody that there are still people in Springfield, Ohio, and in Hawaii that still have not received help, the proper help that they should get. So we all have to unite together and take care of ourselves, because there is no government, there is no National Guard coming to save anybody. So we just need to figure out how to get help to these people. This is devastating, and I'm going to do what I can from Texas. I'm going to contact my representative and see what we can get going. But it's so hard to see all this devastation. I never watched the news, but I just had on CBS for just a brief minute, and what they are televising is not the devastation I'm seeing on Twitter. They're like, oh, it was just a storm, and they're showing houses that are missing steps and stuff. This is not accurate on what you all are dealing with. I am so sorry. I'm so ashamed of our government. Prayers for everybody. And that's what I got to say. I'm sorry. I wish I could do more.
Hey, Chip, can you hear me?
Yeah, I've got you, Billy. We've been having a pretty good discussion. You got your technical stuff worked
Can
out?
anybody hear
Yeah,
me?
we can hear you, Billy.
Sorry, something's jacked up. Chip, you go ahead and jump back on and keep doing your thing. I'm going to try and work this out on my end.
So in response to what Reba was talking about there, that's been a topic for, I know, Billy and I, and also Smokey the Appalachian, if you know Brandon, in terms of what can we do as a network of people. We all know what's going on, clearly more so than mainstream media. So what can we do as Appalachians and friends of Appalachians to help this area, to help this region, and sort of network in that? What specific things can we do that we maybe aren't doing, or what can we do more of? Margot, you want to go with that?
Yeah, I want a couple things. Just want to let Reba know. We were expected to get the brunt of this in Cherokee County. We were told 3 days in advance via text message using a platform called Nixie, which every county can purchase, but our county did. Go get your groceries, prepare for having no electricity for 5 days, make sure you have potable water and that you have drinking water, and be prepared to boil your water. We were told to get it done, and we did. And we fully expected in Cherokee County to be hard hit. And at the very last moment, it moved 50 miles away from us, which we still can't believe happened, but it did. So one thing I would say is, if you're not going to your county government and asking them why they don't have a text service and an email service that alerts people of what is going on, even if you don't get hit, I'd rather have extra chicken or extra water than to be in the position these people are in. And we were not told to leave. We were told to hunker down. And then the second thing I would say is, I don't understand how the state of North Carolina has not made it abundantly clear to every kid, at least every kid in school, that we have a resource called NC211.org that anybody can go on to find out where to get shelter, to find out, where you can get food, to actually call. You can get on that website, get the phone number, call them and say, I can't find my sister. Can you help me locate her? And they'll put you through to the Red Cross. So that's another thing that bothers me. And I think that the third thing is, we as Appalachians need to have a better network for Appalachians. I don't want to rely on the government. That's one of the things we're from. I'm from here. My family goes back here before North Carolina was a state. We don't like government. That's just not our thing. I gave you the government things, and now we should talk about why we don't have our own app for Yes Okay, which basically says you click a button and it shows that you're okay, and ways to work together. It's just shameful to me that I'm on the outside in an area that people don't even know. We can go directly into Asheville from Murphy. We can make it. I had 3 guys go get their mom in Spruce Pine and bring her back. It took them 12 hours, but they did it. And to Billy's point, it's because they knew who to go to and they were good old boys. And that's who we are. I just want to say that, and thank you.
Sure, and let's go to Diana. What would you like to say?
Hey, so Cassie and Margot both know I'm pretty new to the area, and I am just really curious. I heard you guys talking about volunteering. Most situations that I've heard, again, outside of all of this, is that they don't really want people around because it stresses the resources that are already there. And that's kind of not what I'm hearing from you guys. And so I would like to know whether it really is a good idea to show up and volunteer, or, we've already bought resources and had them transported up there, or if there's something else that we can do in the safer areas of North Carolina.
I just wanted to chime in real quick on that. I can tell you firsthand experience, it's very difficult to get into Asheville or even really around it. If you're looking to help and you're just desperate to get there, the only way that you can feasibly get into Asheville right now is coming in on 26 from the south. What they're doing for about anybody who's stranded, if you have the gas and the means, they're really trying to get you to go out south and out towards Charlotte and Port Triangle and the Piedmont for gas, food, stuff like that. But as of this afternoon, I know 40 was shut off city because at Smokies, 40 is gone. It's into the river. The landslide out past Black Mountain and then other trees down kind of has it blocked. You can't get to 77 that way. And then Irwin, both lanes of 26, bridge collapsed underneath. So 26 is completely gone unless they have a bypass going through Irwin now, the route that I took, if they're letting people go that way. But I think I saw the maps a minute ago when I got back to service and it's still shut down too. So if you're trying to get there to help and do anything, which, that's definitely your right to do, your only option to get in right now is going through the south, or if you have a good contact or people there who say, hey, this back road's open, or secondary roads, they're not even addressing right now because the primary roads are just devastated. So if you're traveling on a secondary road and you're trying, make sure that you know the source, or just take a chainsaw with you and hope for the best.
All right, Cassie, if you want to respond to that, and then we'll work our way down to Sharon and Nathan as well.
Yeah, so first of all, I wanted to say if you really want to volunteer we got cut off earlier, and there's some great organizations that you can do hands-on volunteer work with. If you want to go back to and listen to that, there's also a pinned post on my profile that lists organizations that are accepting donations, supplies, and that are allowing hands-on volunteer work. Check out any one of those. I tried not to discriminate as far as politics go. I shared from the left, right, in between everybody that I could find that were trying to do something to help Western North Carolina. I also wanted to point out that because we were talking about how do we communicate better as Appalachians, I think it's exactly what we're doing right now. I don't know about y'all, but I can't help but be pissed off at the way that Western North Carolina and Appalachians in general are overlooked. And it's been happening since the dawn of America. We have always been overlooked. We have always been pushed to the side. We have always been belittled. We have always lived under horrific stereotypes, and enough is a fucking enough. It just is. And so if we don't start speaking up, then we can't fight that. And it's time for us to start speaking up right now. When I look at Western North Carolina and I see places whole towns gone, and then I see somebody bad mouthing Appalachians, that makes me want to fist fight. I can't help it. I'm a hillbilly, and that's just what it brings out in me. And we have got to start discussing it and talking about it with each other.
All right, let's go to Tara, and then we'll go to Sharon next.
Yeah, it's not Tara, it's me. I just wanted to let everybody know that I'm still listening. For whatever reason, my phone is not picking up any of y'all, and you all can obviously hear me, so that's where the feedback's coming in when I'm hitting both mics. Something's wonky, so I'm going to use my wife's. I'm not this good looking, so there's nothing to be said about that. So if you see her, that's going to be me. I'm still going to be operating from the other phone and allowing people to speak. So if you want to speak, raise your hand or whatever. Chip, you're doing a phenomenal job on this end of things. And I'm going to keep operating and see if I can fix it. But otherwise, I'll be speaking from my wife's account. I just wanted to real quick say Billy didn't catch the back end of you, but thank you so much for sharing everything you did. If anybody's got any questions for you, obviously just raise your hand and ask them. But thank you all for sharing all that. I'm still listening. I'm gonna jump back here and see if I can continue to fool around about this. And Chip, you're doing a great job of delegating. So while I'm working on this, I'll let you jump back into that.
All right, go ahead, Sharon. I know you've been waiting there.
Hi,
I was
thank
going to ask
you.
him real quick. I know how to fix that.
I'm one of Cassie's friends. I've got two things. One, we talk about property damage and people, houses and places and material things, but I know from going through a hurricane that people are left with tremendous trauma, personal trauma, and keep people in mind for coping with the aftermath, because the loss of things it's like a sudden death. I mean, if your whole town is wiped out, it's you're processing. You'll have to process grief. So I just wanted to mention that. The other thing is the North Carolina Methodist Conference. I'll post in the comments a link that's a good donation site. And if anybody is in the Triangle area, Raleigh, Cary, Apex, Durham, that's right, babe, that we are putting together cleaning kits. And I'll put a link to that as well so if there's anybody in the area that wants to physically donate material items, then that's something that people can do as well. So thank you.
All right, go ahead, Nathan.
Hey, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yep, I got you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know how you can fix that. Are you all set?
Yeah, I think it worked back. It's I'll leave the room for a few minutes and come back, and all of a sudden the volume's back on again. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pat myself on the back and say that I'm hovering over the target with this Spaces, and the alphabet agencies are honing in on us and trying to shut us down. So we're doing something good here. That's what I'm doing.
Well, hey, listen, I drag the alphabet soup with me everywhere I go, so it's not unexpected. So, real quick, I'm in the outer area of like the affected area, but there's second and third order effects that aren't going to be felt for a while. I'm in law enforcement. I've been a volunteer firefighter and EMT for almost 20 years now. I can't believe I'm getting that old. So here's what I would say. If you're in the minor, like outlying areas, one thing you can do is call up your county, like emergency management service or whoever the head is of that. You can call up your local, like volunteer fire department of all people, because these guys are normally organizing relief efforts and trying to get directly involved with experience and skills, and these guys need food and water like everybody else, so that's one way you can direct your efforts. But on the second and third order of effects, man, I don't want to get political. My politics are probably way to the right of like the hardest MAGA person, so I won't get political. But understand that like everything is screwed, okay? It's not just the roads. I-40 is a bad enough hit, okay? There's no way you can prep and prepare for your car to submerge under countless feet of mud while you're on the highway. I mean, I've traveled that highway so much in my life, it's unbelievable. But one thing, even as far out like east, southeast, like into Wilkesboro and Surrey and Stokes counties, Wilkes County, even way out there, Stewart, Virginia, the Blue Ridge Parkway, there is still roads that are like closed. There's still problems, and all the major rail lines coming in, there's so many trees falling. I mean, these guys are having to start and stop like every 10 foot to cut up trees, and that's still underway, 2 days removed from the worst of it. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, guys. It's a lot worse than any media. I don't know what the blackout is about. Like, there's a complete media blackout on this. Like, I don't get it, man. But I'll hang it up there.
Well, that's one thing I kind of wanted to touch on just for a bit and see if anybody had some information on this. And you made up a really good point. I don't think the second and third wave of effects here has really gotten to people's heads, and that's why the rest of the country should really be on top of this. Interstate 40 is a major transportation route from getting things from the ports in the Carolinas and even down in Savannah to the West Coast. With those roads shut down the way they are, and even 26 going up and getting people north, it's coupled with what's going on in Baltimore with the bridge, a few months ago. We're really looking at a really hard, long winter when it comes to transportation. You're looking at prices going up, and that's not counting all the farmland that's now gone and destroyed. I don't even think we touched on that yet. The effects of these farmers in these valleys, their entire operation is destroyed. I don't know how much they were producing or how much, it affects maybe a mass amount of people. But these small farmers, as we all know, we focus and support and promote local farmers. And even if it's a small operation, you're talking about, hundreds of people in their town that they're, getting milk to, getting food to, eggs, whatever the case may be. So thinking about that far ahead, this has just begun. Go ahead, Brush Beater.
So just wanted to share the headline right here. It's coming out 6 minutes ago. The city of Asheville has announced that nearly 100,000 residents may be without access to water for weeks. So you were saying second and third order effects. We haven't seen them. They're just beginning. The second order effects of this haven't even started yet. Without access to water, a lot of people, when they think prepping and they think, preparedness, all stuff, water is not one of those topics that gets enough attention paid to it, particularly on the East Coast, because we think, there's water everywhere that's at least can be made potable. But you don't really think about scenarios like this one. And, that's bad. So folks, I just, that's my one thing I want to throw out there along with that announcement is, figure out a way to collect some rainwater and start beefing that up. If you're not doing that, on top of everything else, it's something you might want to pay attention to.
Go ahead, Margo.
Well, that's one thing I've been thinking about, Nathan. I'm so glad you brought that up because every county in my end of the state only really has one major grocery store, and it's Ingalls. And all of our groceries and food from the grocery store comes from Asheville. And I've been thinking about this since this occurred. I'm like, we need to figure out how we will not be able to sustain with Walmart. First of all, most people don't use Walmart here. And I, in the summers, of course, we garden and we can, but you have to go. I don't usually go to the grocery store that much, except to get, things I can't, I don't have a cow. But I have been thinking, I actually called my state congressman or state house member, and I said, look, we only have an Ingalls in Clay County, one Ingalls. We have an Ingalls in Murphy, which is that's our county grocery store. And I've been thinking about how the repercussions of this are going to hit, because if their warehouses are in Asheville and they're not working, where are we going to get our food? We don't have a Publix. We don't have a Harris Teeter. We don't have any of those things. We have one Ingalls and one Food Lion, which that also comes from 40. And we have a grocery store that comes, I think it's like a discount grocery store that comes out of Chattanooga. Like, I am really concerned about this area when it comes to getting food to even areas that were not hard hit. Just thinking out loud.
I'm just going to speak real quick because I don't hear anybody talking, but y'all haven't even mentioned this strike that's supposed to happen in the ports, and then everybody's truly foobarred. I mean, we're just this. Wow, we are in trouble, folks. We are in trouble.
I was actually going to bring that up. I also wanted to let y'all know that if you're in the area, which I'm sure most of us aren't, but if you are in the area up there, you can reach out to local businesses and your neighbors. I know from personal experience that Appalachians stick together. We take care of each other. And from what I hear, Darnell Farms in Swain County, they lost everything. They are still out there telling people you can come to the farm, you can use our Wi-Fi. If you need help, you can come to us. I mean, to me, that is just amazing. Also, they are taking donations right now. So if anybody wants to help them, I feel like they're a great place that could use it. And they are in Swain County. The second thing I wanted to say is, we're talking about price increases. Well, I went shopping yesterday and I already saw the freaking price increases. I paid over $8 for one bag of potatoes. So it's already happening. They're getting ahead of
I don't
it and
think it's
raising
going to
these
get
prices.
any better anytime soon. So we're having issues here again, but hopefully y'all can hear me and I can hear you. Diana, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. So,
Go ahead and speak.
does Does anybody have connections in the trucking industry? So, Margot, there's places south of you in Georgia that could come up. I know my husband drives for Martin Brower and they deliver to McDonald's, and they'll take routes into South Carolina, up into Virginia, again, just to McDonald's. But there's companies that can do that. Is that something that your local people could get in touch with trucking companies to start looking at other distribution centers?
You know what? I literally, y'all, I'm just going to tell you the truth. I was on the phone when you guys asked me to join this first space with the Trump team, and they were asking me about what did I see as issues, and I said, listen, there are a million. I'm not a million. I said there are a lot of farmers that nobody's thinking about their animals. Nobody's thinking that the hay is gone. Nobody's thinking that we don't have salt blocks, that we don't have water areas specifically for animals. And I told them, I said, is there any way that you can get a hold of the Publix people to see if we can use their warehouses to bring things up? So, that is something we've been talking about.
Go ahead.
I don't know, but we have been discussing it.
I saw Chicago Ray's brother-in-law has trucks down in Charlotte that they're taking stuff up. Maybe you could reach out to them. He had flatbeds that he was using. Maybe they would be a source to bring some of that stuff up there.
Well, I'm going to jump in if that's okay. I'm Cassie's cousin Kent, and I used to work for FedEx Freight. And I'm here to tell you can go to any FedEx and request aid from them, and they will do what they can with the local, even people that are not even local. You can go to them, to the transport station, and ask them, hey, could you guys get donations up? And they will load up a truck and a trailer, as many as they can get, and they will send it to the area. Same thing with U.S. Foods, Cisco Foods, Cheney Brothers, any of the big food companies. You can go to any of them, and they will put anything out there they can get. And I used to work for U.S. Foods as well, so I did a lot of rescue work during that time during Florence, and we took all kinds of donations and fed the public when we were working with U.S. Foods. So, there's tons of options there locally that you can do if you have the availability to get to those locations, or if you can get on the phone and call them and set up something, because I'm sure there's somebody that, is very good at, setting up, meetings and stuff like this, like what you're doing right now it's a great thing to be doing.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And every little bit helps. It's kind of amazing, how far we can go if everybody jumps in and kind of pitches in and teams together. Like I said at the beginning of this spaces, it's kind of wild watching everybody you followed and kind of got in tune with and understood where they're from. And then when something like this happens, everybody just jumps on board and immediately tries to do something. So kudos to all of y'all. And big thanks to Chip for being libertarian, for jumping on and helping out here. I've been having some connectivity issues. I've been jumping back and forth between my phone and my wife's, and half the time I can hear you, half the time I can't. So he's done a phenomenal job of rolling things. So thank him. And Nathan, you want to go ahead and speak again?
I just wanted to ask a quick question, maybe to Scout or anyone that might know this. Are there any ham or HF guys that are involved, like on the ground there and communicating to the outside world? Because, I only have like local Viper network. So I was just recently actually getting serious about the ham stuff with NC Scout's book and some Balfangs and Hyteras and stuff like that. But I haven't, I'm not in the little cliques that know frequencies and what's going on. So is there any word like with ham operators and that communications?
Yeah. There's Western Carolina Amateur Radio Society, WCARS. You're going to want to look their website up. Let me pull it up right now. Matter of fact, I was actually just communicating with some guys that are in that region through my forum. Anyway, let's see what they have up on their site, because their main VHF repeater, which is got the best coverage in the state of North Carolina, is actually on Mountain Mitchell, and their website looks like it's down right now, which doesn't surprise me. But their repeater is, to my knowledge, it is working. As far as HF goes, I know the Red Cross has their HF net that is up right now. Hurricane Watch net is not activated because obviously the storm has went through, but I know that there is a lot of follow-on support activity that's going on those frequencies. You can find that on 20 meters and 40 meters, specifically 14.325 on 20 meters and 7.268 at night. And one other net that I want to, if you're in North Carolina or, in the southeastern region, mid-Atlantic region as well, is the Tar Heel emergency net. Or then let me pull that up for you so that I can get the exact frequencies, because I'm not out in my shack right now, but I have that up on the whiteboard. They are active right now, and you can find them. So you just missed it, but I'm certain that they have a persistent presence right now. But it is nightly at 7:30 p.m. on 3.923 kilohertz or megahertz, rather. That's going to be over on 80 meters. And then their alternate frequency is 7.232 megahertz. And again, that is the Tar Heel emergency net on HF. Great, great, great group of guys. Goes all the way back, I think, to Hurricane Hazel, if I remember right. So this isn't anything new. Yes, it does. It goes back to 1954. They've got their history here, and they were formed in the response to Hurricane Hazel. But anyhow, that's one you want to get involved in. And like I was saying earlier, all disaster response and most disaster relief, the most effective versions of that are always local. And so there you go.
Excellent. Appreciate that. Ezra, thank you for up next. You want to go ahead and speak?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
10-4.
Great. Thank you guys so much for being here and having this conversation. I know this is something that doesn't happen very often here in the Appalachian area, but it's great to see the community pull together and, try to do something about this. And I had set up a GoFundMe. I'm here in the East Tennessee area. Give a little bit of background. I'm here in the East Tennessee area. I'm about an hour's drive from Cott County. I'm about a 2-hour drive from Unicoi and Greene County, and a little bit further than that from Washington County. So those are some of the counties that have been most heavily affected. And I'm right here in Roane County. So I had set up a GoFundMe to try to raise money for a supply drive in Cott County. GoFundMe took us down, so that was a mistake. Never using them again for anything. But we got set back up on another platform, and that platform was Spot Fund. And right now we've raised $820 of $1,000 goal. And we're going to be having a big supply drive in Cott County. We're also going to be in Washington County and Greene County. We are hoping to be able to push to Unicoi County, but we have about 4 truck teams already pledged. We have the money from the funding platform, and we also have another pledge from a major nonprofit organization to help out the people there in the most affected counties in East Tennessee. So if you guys don't mind, can I share some details about that in case anyone's in that area and wants to help out?
Sure, run through them real quick.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I'll just run through it really quickly. It's Operation Irreverent Supplies. So East Tennessee communities and members from the Irreverent Warrior Militia and some others in the community will be making supply drop-offs to multiple affected counties in Appalachian, Tennessee. We'll divide up into individual teams of trucks, trailers, and team members. Each team will be assigned specific drop-off locations and tasks. Some of the teams making drops to destinations closer to Knoxville. This is for you people that are in the Knox County area. We'll be staying on site, and some of us will be volunteering where needed for the day, and there'll also be opportunities to stay overnight if it's necessary. Our teams will be meeting and dispersing supplies at the Easttown Mall parking lot beside Sam's Club no later than 1,000 hours Saturday, October 5th, 2024. Sam's Club will be there if people want to make purchases for supplies on site. We do recommend being about 15 minutes early. Team 1 will cover Cott County, the Department of Children's Services at Broadway Street, Newport, Tennessee. 1733 Garden Village Garden Village Drive, White Pine, Tennessee, and the following morning. So a person of contact there would be Chris Duba, and that's 865-396-4707 for contact number. Team 2 will cover Greene County and Washington County. That'll be Lamar Elementary School, Washington County Trinity United Methodist Church, 524 Tusculum Boulevard in Greenville. And Team 2 will push to Greene County and drop supplies off. And after supplies are dropped off to Greene County, half the team will stay in support of volunteer efforts there in Greene County. They'll stay overnight. And the other half will push to Washington County to make supply drop-offs there. And they'll also stay in support of volunteer efforts in Washington County. And they'll be staying overnight. So that's what we've got going on. And we also have another contact here. You guys can get in touch. If you have questions, you can get in touch with Zeb Proctor at 423-494-8040. I'll just go ahead and tell you that if you want to help out with this, you can contact me directly at my personal number at 865-393-0330. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
Man, thank you so very much for sharing that, and then for everybody out there that's chipping in doing the same thing. I'm going to get to Cassie, and then we'll get to Lou.
Hey, this is just going to be 1 second. Chris Hall Weather just posted emergency mandatory evacuation. Bee Tree Dam is close to failure. This area is now being evacuated. All Bee Tree Valley and downstream Biltmore needs to evacuate now. We just received this information from the Buncombe County Sheriff's Office. So this is still not over. Like, we're still going to see things happening like this over the next few days, I would imagine.
That's insane. So they need the entire county evacuated. Is logistically speaking, how is that possible?
So this is just so I'm sure that you guys have it set up this way too, but so in Haywood County, we have areas that go by names, right? We have Crusoe, which technically isn't a town, it's an area outside of Canton. So Bee Tree Valley is the same thing. It's a small area within Buncombe County, but they're asking all of those people to evacuate. And where are they supposed to evacuate to?
We'll definitely pay attention to that and keep everybody abreast of it. And thank you for that. That's insane. Actually, our buddy in here, Nick, just sent me some info about another hurricane coming out of the Caribbean right now. I believe it's Hurricane Isaac. So who knows? Looks like potentially rain for quite some time moving into the future. So, Lou, I believe you were next. So go ahead with your thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. So I have some family down there as well, and I'm here to help in whatever I can do, whether it's messaging. And I've been texting right now my cousin who lived in North Carolina and has extended family there. He also used to be a driver for FedEx, which is why I sent him a text saying, "Hey, do you know anybody still down in North Carolina?" He just sent me a message letting me know that there are a lot of former special ops guys that are trying to get together to get boats, medical supplies, water, etc., to try to get into that area to help out. And so I was going back and forth with him. Is there anybody here that may want to create maybe like a Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia community on X where we can post all of the things in one central community? That way, if it's help, if it's organizing, trucking, if we get these special ops guys a communication line and say, "Hey, this is a community that needs help," things like that. His grandmother of his two youngest kids are she's got no water, barely out of food, on a hillside. Everything's devastated around her. They're trying to get her help as well. And then the other thing is we do have a mutual friend, and Marco, I sent you Taylor's name. We do have a mutual friend up in Johnson City who is a trucker, and he's kind of big in the trucking circles, and he knows a lot of people, and they go to like annual meetings and things like that. And so I reached out to him to see if maybe there's something he could do with maybe some of the locals in the surrounding area to maybe try to help and get that information in as well. So whatever I can do to help out, but I just didn't know if maybe having a centralized place, that X community where like all this information, I could tap on it, see everything going on instead of trying to track, 75 different individual accounts. I don't know if somebody can do that. That way we can try to centralize, and whenever we know something, we can get it out and share it out to the people who don't know about the community. Thank you.
I can do that. I'll do that.
Jay, just real quick, jumping in. I went and confirmed what Kathy was reporting and what Margot posted. That is absolutely confirmed. It's all over Black Mountain Facebook and social media. So it's a mandatory evacuation.
Excellent. Appreciate that. Cassie, do you have something to say?
I already said it, hon.
Hey, real quick, I want to jump in. I have to roll, but it's been an honor being here with y'all. And hit me up if you need anything. I'm going to be coordinating quite a bit of stuff tomorrow and posting it up as we go.
Man, we appreciate you dropping by and helping out, and stay connected, everybody. I mean, this is only the beginning here. I'm sure there's going to be a necessity for everybody as far as we continue to go. And I'm also going to somehow turn this Spaces into an actual podcast. So if you want to go back and listen to it in the podcast version, just check it out on our profile. I'll share a link there. You can go to AppalachianPodcast.org and connect to whatever whatever app you listen to, Spotify. I think Google's done for, but Apple, any of those. So I will have in the podcast version, so you can go back and listen. Aside from re-listening to the Spaces on X, you can go back and listen for any of this information. So I appreciate you dropping by and hanging out and doing that. D, I know you've had your hand up here for a minute, and you've shared some good stuff here over the past couple of days. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you get in a word.
Hey, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I live about 20 minutes from Unicoi in Irwin, maybe 30 at most. And I've got family that are in the area and they're safe. You know, they told me, that the dog can drink out of the creek and he's got food. And we got a grill and so we're good and we got the smoker, so we're going to be all right. Then they have no water, electricity. I think they said that the bridge, there's no real way for anybody to get to their house because like a lot of bridges are down, not just, the two main ones on 26, but a lot of the other bridges are down. So, but they're okay. It's just, it is what it is. They're more mad that they can't go get a cigarette and a beer than anything. But I've heard today on the local news that there's now 107 people missing in Washington County and Unicoi County. And I believe I saw like military helicopters going over toward like Mountain City and Roan Mountain and the more like real rural areas like on that side. But I've heard that as far as like volunteers go, that a lot of the like hands-on volunteers, they're pretty much full. Like, they have to like physically help clean up. They're like overwhelmed with people wanting to come in and help and support. So that's a positive thing. But yeah, it's been wild, man. And like people say, I don't think it's over because we got another storm brewing in the Gulf. So we just gotta wait and see what happens with it. I think they said that power in Irwin, if you were not like in the direct major like flood zone, it could be restored early as Wednesday. But if you were in like one of the major flooded areas, it's going to take weeks because like it's not as simple as like just connecting a power line. They got to put in whole new poles because they don't even have poles to connect the power to. So that's crazy to think about. Like, the one big positive is that National Fuel Services in Irwin, or Nuclear Fuel Services rather in Irwin, that's a big positive. Is that the nuclear material is safe and the plant in Irwin was not affected by it. So that's a humongous positive to report on. But that's all I got to say. I appreciate you bringing me up, brother.
No problem. Y'all go give him a follow on X. Not a lot of followers yet, but that can change. And he's done some tremendous work over the past couple of days, getting some things out there and some information. Like a lot of you all have. I'm going to go down the line and try and get to everybody. Before I get to the next one real quick, I wanted to ask, y'all brought up a couple of good points. I've heard rumblings of the FAA grounding civilian flights of small helicopters trying to get in and out and do rescue operations and drop supplies. And I also heard a rumor that Fort Bragg had planes and troops ready to go, and they were told to stand down. I was just wondering if anybody had heard anything like that, or why that might be holding up anything, and for what reason. So if anybody knows the answer to that, raise your hand, and I'll get down the line of speakers really, really quick. Ron, do you want to go real quick? Oh, wait, how about Jennifer?
Hi, good evening. I'm in New York. I recognize Margot from some spaces. First of all, I'm so sorry for anybody whose family and whose community is impacted by this. It's unimaginable what we're seeing. And I just wanted to ask and to offer. I don't want to. I know in New York, our emergency planning services right away takes over school gymnasiums and school cafeterias, and that's where people are evacuated to and situated in. I am happy to, buy something online and having it shipped to someplace. I just don't want that to be just sitting there because it's not coordinated to wind up in the hands of a person. So Margot, I saw that you were posting some places. I just don't see a list of what they need. And if there is a list somewhere that I could just do something before I go to sleep tonight, I would appreciate knowing about it.
I don't know if you're waiting for me to answer, but I'll give you a couple of answers I think of. You can always donate to Samaritan's Purse. That is a local charity. Its headquarters is in Boone, North Carolina. That is run by the Billy Graham family, Franklin Graham and his sons. So they are very familiar with the area and they already have supplies there. Also, they are accepting volunteers on their website and they'll let you know and give you instructions on how you can volunteer. So that's a place I'd tell you to donate that I know is going to contribute directly back to the local economy and make sure people get it because they're local. And then the second thing I would
Thank
say,
you. It's hard sometimes because you hear, like you donate and then just so much money goes to these people who have the contracts for this kind of, thing.
no, I think if I were going to donate anywhere, it would be to them. And I think Cassie would agree with me. Those are local family people. They're actually originally from Black Mountain. They moved their operation to Boone. So those are Western Carolinians.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And, that's to Dee's point a minute ago, think about the long-term effects and everything to that nature. If you donate or whatever, and you're not donating money, if you donate supplies, consider long-term as well, because it could be weeks, months before some of these people get back to any belongings. You know how the system drags. So do consider that. Dee, did you raise your hand? Did you have a response?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. As far as like supplies go, I used to work for a FEMA supplier that's in the region, and the one thing that there's almost never enough of, like any kind of a natural disaster, it's water. So if you want to think about donating something, water is a big help because from personal.
Great. But where should I ship it to?
Honey, I will get the address where to ship it to. I think I know the location, but I have to get the specific address. So if you want to check back with me tomorrow, if you want, I'll get the exact address and how to go about doing it. That work?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And back to your other question, you were mentioning about the military aircraft versus like civilian like helicopters. I heard something about that, like at the Unicoi Hospital when it flooded. There was a lot of strong winds, and so they pulled it back. Well, the first they were going to send in like civilian aircraft to help evacuate people off the top of the hospital, but they pulled it back and they had to send in military aircraft because of the winds were so strong. At least that's what I heard. I think I heard that on the local news, but I don't know if it's true. But that's what I heard. So it kind of, I don't know if that's what you're referring to with like the aircraft. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's possible. I did see where the FAA went back to allowing civilian aircraft. I hadn't seen, and perhaps they did announce it, but I hadn't seen otherwise. My biggest thing is I just wish these agencies would be a little bit more transparent and, give us updates and maybe a little explanation here or there why the commonsensical thing doesn't happen. Because, when that's a pretty good excuse. So when they don't, come out and they're upfront about those kind of things, but they have their ways and reasons too. So, well, go ahead, Cassie. Go ahead and jump back in there.
Yeah, so I wanted to say two things. One thing is that the thing about Buncombe County, it looks like some people are saying that it may just be a rumor. Let's hope so. The second thing is anybody thinking about, and I hate to take this into a political direction, but voting is about to happen. How many people are not going to be able to vote because of this, and what is the plan there? And I saw Margot's hand go up, so I'm sure she'll be able to answer that. But I feel like, Western North Carolina is kind of a red stronghold. And so, in keeping balance or just getting votes out, it seems like this is a concern in that area too.
Yeah, so let me talk about that if you don't mind. So there's a couple theories going on. First and foremost, we believe and we suspect, based on what they've done in the past in Florida during hurricane season, that is the reason why the slow to get the aid up. Because what happens in Florida, this happens every year, so they're well aware and prepared for it, which we are not. They have Democratic operatives that use these events to try to move the needle. So that's one thing that happens. And I hate to get political, but I'm just going to tell you what I found out on the call today. I don't care what party you're with. I'm just telling you what I heard. Don't, if you're going to hold it against me, so what? Anyway, we suspect it'll end up being like a COVID situation where they ask to do things like drop boxes, which is illegal in North Carolina. And what normally happens is they do it. We sue them. They have to stop, but they've already done it. And the judge says those ballots count. And or the other thing they will probably do is no witness, no signature ballots like they did in 2020, which they did. We sued, we won, but 350,000 ballots had already gone through. So we see the tactics coming. Here's what I'll tell you. North Carolina's law for voter ID says if there's a natural disaster, you do not have to show your ID to vote. So that was carved in the law. So if people are worried about voting, they do not have to have an ID to vote in a natural disaster. So we're looking at different things. We were wondering why it's taken so long. We know it's the government. It's going to take long anyway, but part of the thought process is the party of the governor in North Carolina is the majority of all election boards in North Carolina and the state election board, meaning our governor is a Democrat. The election board is a majority Democrats at the state level and at the county level. And we feel like there's some operative moves going on there, and we're working on it. Hope that's a long-winded answer with a lot of politics in it, but that's my jam. And if you want to talk about it, we will.
Thank you, hon. I was just wondering exactly how it's going to work. Right now with whole towns wiped away, I don't understand how people get out to vote. So, I think that's going to be a concern. And Margot, you should probably, address that in some posts coming up, because I feel like I've had several messages about it from people on both sides recently. How are these people supposed to vote? So if you can put some info out, it would be awesome.
Will do. I know there's going to be a lot more paper ballots than they expected because the places that they'd planned on using will not be available. Not to mention, we vote in precincts. So the precincts are the chair may not be available. We don't know. So, but I can guarantee you there's going to be a lot more paper ballots in Western North Carolina than they ever thought of.
Cassie, I'm really glad you brought that up. I didn't mention it. It was one of my concerns. I didn't really know how we wanted to get all political in here or bring that up, because you know how people just take it and run with it. But very, very wild timing for a state that was very neck and neck, and really, and the section of the state that's now devastated tends to vote in a much different way other than Asheville. So it's going to get ugly, I think, when it comes to that than when it comes to other things. So I appreciate y'all bringing that up and bringing it to light. Kent, you've had your hand up for a minute.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for letting me speak. I'm not an expert by any means on anything. I've just done quite a few things in my short time on the earth. But as far as like the rescue outfits, if people would just do a little bit of research on your local, rescue outfits, there's all kinds of guys that do it. Like me personally, I'm involved with 2 rescue outfits as well, but not at the moment because I have the flu. But a Task Force 75, they're a veteran operated outfit, and they are a great group of guys. I worked with them during Florence, and they are high speeds. A couple of them are involved directly with FEMA. They did a lot of work with Puerto Rico, and golly, they went down during Louisiana, and They've been a lot of places, and a couple of them are in the movie industry, so they get a little bit of funds through them. Believe it or not, donations are hard for them guys to get, and they donate their time with no money paid to them. They take 100% of the proceeds and they put it towards putting it back into the community. And DR3 is the one I work with directly right now, which he's wanting to close up shop because it's a struggle to get, donations from people. And it's understandable because it's hard times right now. Everything's overpriced and people are, they're having a hard time surviving. But just don't overlook the little guys. Do your due diligence. You can go back and do some research on these guys and see what they've done and see video footage and all that good stuff. And another good option for people, if you don't want to donate to organizations like that and you want to do something directly on your own, there's a Project Airdrop. I worked with them directly as well in the past during Florence here in Wilmington, North Carolina is where I'm based out of right now. And you could take stuff directly to the airport and you can have it, you can just leave it there and they'll get it on the tarmac and on a airplane. Cause during Florence, it was bad here. We were stuck. We had no way out. So I was working with FedEx at the time, and I took one of their trucks and we loaded it up with all kinds of stuff and brought it to the tarmac and loaded up the airplanes right there on the runway. And private planes, I mean, everybody, it doesn't matter. You can just bring it and they'll take it and roll out with it and get it where it needs to be. The biggest thing is just getting out there and asking the right questions, and reaching out to your local people that know about this stuff. And you got forums where people talk to each other, where you got big connections with them, like the Carolina Shooters Forum. There's guys on there that know about the ham radio and all that other crazy stuff. And it's not just about firearms. There's, survival and all kinds of interesting stuff in there. I mean, it's you name it, they probably are talking about it.
Awesome. That's great information. I appreciate you jumping in there with that. I know we're running up on time, so we'll try and get to everybody I can real quick. Ron, you've had your hand up for a minute. Go ahead, my friend.
All right. Can you hear me well?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks, buddy. I wanted to check my levels, make sure everything was good. Okay. So all Tazewell County residents. So if you have any questions, if you have any info about down lines, down power lines, down trees, anything, email Tazewell County Supervisor Chuck Presley at chuck.presley@tazewellcounty.org. He's been all over the place today with his chainsaws, with his teams, clearing everything out. If you have any info or anything you wanted to share, relay it to him. He'll post it on Facebook, and we're just trying to get out there and trying to get as much stuff done as quickly as we can right now. It is a total disaster, especially in the Bluefield area. It's bad. If you have any questions, again, contact Chuck Presley. He's don't know about anybody else in the county, but he's out there with boots on the ground, and we're getting stuff done. Tazewell County schools are closed for Monday and Tuesday. Just so all you guys know, keep your kids at home. I know you guys don't want to be at home with them right now, but just keep them at home for the next couple of days. Stay in place. And if you have any questions or anything you want to ask, that's chuck.presley@tazewellcounty.org. And we're just out there trying to get it done right now. It's tough. Just thank goodness that, we have some places in Tazewell County that does have power right now, but it has been absolutely abysmal. And for the majority of folks listening right now in Tazewell County, you're not going to have power back till Wednesday. Some of you may have it back Tuesday night late, but it's going to be till Wednesday. So just prepare for that. Get out, get gas while you can, because a lot of places are running low, especially in the Tazewell area and Bluefield area. Get out, get your gas if you need to, because you're going to need it. Get your cars filled up, because the gas is coming low, and we don't know when the tanks are going to be here to refill all the stations. So please just get out. And if you have any questions, just contact Chuck Presley, and we're just doing the best we can right now. Thanks, guys, and got to get back out and get to it. But thanks, Will. You're doing a great thing. And thanks to the great man, the Tazewell King, Billy Bowling, who is an absolute king. Just thank him for all his service, all his efforts, his wonderful wife and wonderful family. You guys have a great night. Stay dry, stay safe, and just pray to God that we get through this the best we can. You guys have a great night.
Hey, Ron, real quick before you jump off here. Well, I guess you're gone.
All right, I'm back. Buddy.
No, I just you appreciate that update. I know my wife's family's from Tazewell County.
I know she is, baby.
And so a special place. I'm glad it's not as bad down. I know Matthew Wright. I'm going to let him speak here in 1 minute. He's right there in Richlands as well.
Man, they got hammered.
Maybe one of y'all two can help answer this. I know that there were 2 casualties reported so far in the state of Virginia. One was Craig County, one was Tazewell County. Can you speak to that on what happened? Because I haven't had a chance to research that.
I cannot speak to the one in Tazewell County so far. I've heard rumors, but I cannot confirm anything. I know that there was a possible fatality in Buchanan County with a tree falling on a car that was traveling through Route 460, but I cannot confirm that. I just heard that secondhand through somebody who witnessed it. But it's everything. There's a lot of things up in the air right now, and through the next couple of days, we're gonna just wade through the waters and try to get through everything. But we're just trying to do the best we can. Anybody out there that has a chainsaw that can get out, help your neighbor, please do it, because everybody's struggling right now. I know you're stuck at home, you don't have any power, but you can at least get out there, fire up the chainsaw, and just try to help out your neighbors as best you can. Just please try to do the best you can. And I heard someone say earlier, look out for the animals. That is also top tier. If you see something, say something to somebody. If you see a pet that needs to be sheltered for the time being, please do so. Tazewell County Animal Shelter does not have the capacity to take them in right now. So just do the best you can by trying to take these animals in. And if you see a person that needs help, please just try to help them the best you can. I can tell you that the Tazewell Motel, I believe that's what it's called, on 460. It's right. If you're familiar with Tazewell, it's right down from Happy Mart in Tazewell. I know they have vacancies. They have power. It's a place for you to stay that has electricity, that has warm water. If you need a place to stay, they have vacancies. I don't know how late they're open tonight to where you can check in, but that's just an option to where you can go and stay. A warm bed with a warm shower. It always makes a huge difference in situations like this. So just do the best you can by trying to help your neighbor. Guys, I know we're all going through some really tough times right now, but just try to do the best you can. Try to help our neighbors. I don't really have to preach to the people of Appalachia, because that's all we do is help each other and help our community. But it's rough right now. It's going to be rough for a lot of people for a while. Just try to do the best you can. And if you need anything, again, it's Chuck.Presley at TazewellCounty.org. He'll be working till at least midnight tonight. He's been working since early this morning. And since yesterday, I've been having boots on the ground trying to help the people of Tazewell County, but it's going to be tough sledding, for the next week or so for a lot of people. So just be patient, do the best you can, and we're going to get through this, as we always do, because we're hillbillies and that's just what we do. If you have any more questions, just email Chuck and we'll just try to get through this hour by hour. Thank you. And you guys have a great night. You got any more questions, let me know, buddy.
Appreciate it. I truly appreciate your time. I want to go to Matthew Wright, our buddy, real quick. Off topic. He's a phenomenal follow for different reasons, but I'm glad he's here chipping in this afternoon or this evening and communicating with us. So, Matthew, you want to go ahead? And then after him, we'll go to our buddy Wall Street and then Allegheny Stormfront.
Yeah, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to be on here, because I'm here in Richlands. We are blessed enough to have power, and we got somebody that's borrowing my generator. But since we have power, it's not a big deal. Like Kent's Ridge, that's been cleared. Just everybody around here, man, just jumps out with their chainsaw, jumps in and helps. But from what I hear, like my entire office is down. People aren't going to be able to come to work, and all the way from Cedar Bluff up through Bluefield. So I would say that, well, no, I'll say this. We are running off the assumption that the power is going to be back on the 1st, but I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But I have people staying over at my house, and like our phone system's been down. I don't know if the Verizon towers have been overloaded or not, because as soon as the internet dropped, it's working sporadically now. But I'm sure they're trying to fix that too. Oh, if you want gas though, go towards Lebanon. Richlands, we're kind of all out of gas. Like all the stations I know of, they're out.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate that update. It's good to hear from you, and I'm glad you're doing all right down there. And once again, I encourage everybody to go give him a follow for a whole different reason. Look into him and figure it out on your own. It's going to blow your mind. So, and Matthew, feel free to jump back in at any point in time you want to and say anything. I added you as a co-host. I kept trying to add you as a speaker, and it wouldn't allow me. So there you go. You can jump in and out at any point in time. I want to get to our buddy Wall Street, and then Allegheny Stormfront, and then we'll get to Diana.
Hey, Billy, I appreciate it, Mike. As you know, and for future reference, can we go with Wall Street Ponzi? Because Wall Street's just a terrible identifier, you know?
Oh, you don't like the Charlie Sheen and Martin Sheen?
Well, I like the movie. I like the movie, yes, sir. So, as you may know or may not know, I'm a transplanted, federally relocated via the U.S. Navy to Yankee Latcha. I live in New Hampshire now. I grew up in Swain County and Henderson County, North Carolina. And been fortunate enough to talk to a couple of relatives. They're doing okay. Obviously, they've got the power situation and some down trees and stuff to deal with. If there is anyone in Henderson County near Jackson Road area, my father's water supply did get a tree dropped on it. So he is running very low on water, 70 years old. But, you know, I just appreciate you and Cassie and Margot and everybody stepping in and getting this thing together. I think it's a great thing. And, you know, we need to take some lessons learned from this thing and start to build that network like we was talking about earlier. But, you know, this is what we do. This is how we were raised. This is who we are. And I just appreciate everything you're doing, Billy. Thank you.
Go
Well,
Navy.
thank you, my friend, and you're absolutely right. I mean, the tragedy sucked to bring people together, but if this is a way we can light a fire under our hind end and start being more productive and more invested in our community, you know, whether it be Appalachia or the Piedmont, you know, all of our surrounding areas, you know, people like Cassie are doing great things, Margot, everybody in here, Chip from being libertarian earlier, Matthew, they're all phenomenal people. I've had a chance to meet some of them in real life. Some of them are friends now, and you'd be amazed at. Well, no, you wouldn't, because you're all from Appalachia. Most of you wouldn't be amazed. You understand it, but the rest of the world will be amazed just the kindness and the willingness to want to step in and help when it's unnecessary, and even when it is necessary. You know, there's a reason why people like us continue to get kicked down. It's because our way of life is beautiful, and people in dark spots hate that. So the only thing that they know how to do is hate on it. So take it as a badge of honor when somebody's calling you a hillbilly or a hick or a mountain mama, whatever the case may be. Hey, you can make it 100 times longer than they could in a situation like this, and they hate you for it. So try and kill them with kindness and make them realize what we got going on here. But yeah, y'all are doing wonderful out there. I watch y'all every single day. Go ahead, Allegheny.
Yeah, Allegheny Stormfront is we're a storm chasing group out of Central Appalachia. My name's Alistair. I'm the director for it. I'm so sorry, guys. I've seen events like this very rarely. I'm 25 and I haven't been around very long, but my family was affected by the floods of 1985 up here in West Virginia and Western Virginia, particularly Pendleton County and Tucker County. And it wiped out towns. It wiped out the town of Parsons. It wiped out the town of Franklin, Philippi. Listen, I can understand what you guys are going through. We all see on social media, not on mainstream media, but on social media, everything that is coming out of Western North Carolina and adjacent regions. And honestly, it's my deep regret that I or other storm chasers in my organization were not able to make it down for that. We don't have the guys right now to be able to do that. But coming onto this space and hearing the gratitude, right? Hearing the support, of everyone from not just Western North Carolina and not just the adjacent regions, but the gentleman from New Hampshire. Areas outside the region, it's a beautiful thing to see. And storm chasing community, we're coming together over it as well because we see what's going on here. And we are doing our best to be able to pull funds, to pull resources, to pull supplies, and even personnel, and be able to send them down. We know Chris Hall. Chris Hall has been very active in the region over the last couple of days. He seems like he was the only storm chaser who intended to chase this part of Hurricane Helene while the rest of the community was down on the Florida coast. Chris Hall seems to be the only one who has really dedicated his time in the region. Billy Bowling was coming through and he did a great job as well. I've seen a lot of his footage. But Ryan Hall, I don't know if you guys know about him, but he is a weather broadcaster. He's gone over to YouTube. He's based out of Pikeville, Kentucky. And there's news from him. He's bringing $50,000 worth of internet Starlink terminals south to Western North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee to be able to be used by the people who need that the most. So there are things being pulled together by those who do have the resources. We're just as appalled as you guys because, well, first of all, we're hearing the garbage over the internet as well regarding the storm that, climate change is the sole factor behind this incident, that it was the sole cause behind it. And things like HARP. We can debate about the existence of HARP and climate change in other places, but honestly, these events have happened before in this region. 1916 is it's a fantastic event to look back on to see similar impacts. And we just have to be aware. We have to be aware of our history. We have to be aware of our geography because, yes, we don't get hurricanes this far deep in the mountains, but we do get big flash flooding events. And looking at our geography, I live in central Appalachia. Our mountains are just a little bit lower. We're about 3,000 to 4,000 feet. We're not much lower, but we're just as steep as you guys down there. And we get big flash flooding events all the time. 2016 was a big example. 1985 is a pretty good analog to what you guys are dealing with now. And it happens. And you really can't prepare for it. You really can't. You can collect as much food as you want, as much food as you can afford. But if your house gets swept off its foundation, where does all that food go? So something like this, it really depends on the community coming together. And I have to really applaud you guys for doing that, for gathering the resources, for staying positive. Sometimes that's just all it takes is keeping a positive attitude through all this and keeping a rebuilding attitude. And I've seen that sometimes that's the big game changer in events like this. I've chased tornadoes through Pennsylvania and Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, and a lot of times we're the first people on the scene, and it's heartbreaking for one, but the attitude a lot of people have is not depression, but hope. And you guys carry that as well. And I have to really applaud you. And I have to thank you because you're really inspirational. So, yeah, that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, and I like what you're doing, and I appreciate you jumping on here and speaking. Diana, real quick, I know you've had your hand up for quite some time. We'll get to a couple more and then jump off here. I'll circle back around and let Margaret and Cassie, give their final thoughts as well. We'll try and rush through these last few speakers. So, Diana.
Hey, in the purple pill, there's a guy from North Carolina who's going to have a truck that's hauling water tomorrow, a semi. I wanted to make sure everybody saw that before they jump off. He's going to be delivering out of Pittsburgh. So if you guys can make it down there, that would be great. And then, Margot, can I DM you later and chat about what the farm needs are?
Sure.
Okay, I'll do that later. That's it. You guys all have a good night.
Perfect. Thank you. And maybe in a couple of days, a few weeks, whenever all the dust settles, maybe we can do another spaces and come together and start asking some questions about, what did lead to this. I know it's nature and it's God a lot of times, but there are mixes and there are ways to mitigate, and we'll have those questions. But it's probably important for the time being is not to give in to the haters and focus your energy on the positive things. Focus your energy on getting help to these people, because people are going to try and drag you down all along the way. You see them on X all the time. Every time you post some kind of comment, they feel the need to go in there and drop their opinion with their 17 followers. Nobody cares, but they'll suck you in. So just trying to avoid that, avoid the nonsense, and put your head on straight. In a few weeks, we'll bring it back around and maybe start asking some questions and get a little bit more intense. But right now, the focus should be on getting the help to the people that we can, and finding out from them, what really happened. So, American Trucker, I see you right there. Did you have anything to say?
Hey guys, yeah, I just want to say thanks for putting this space together and reaching out. I've been trying all day to use my platform to get help, and got a few people donating water and food and stuff. Just trying to figure out a way to get it from point A to point B. It's pretty hard to get to Asheville. My sister actually lives in Asheville, and we finally just heard from her today, thanks to somebody with a Starlink down there. But yeah, man, I live in Kingsport, which is just about 80 miles away, and a lot of our area is affected as well. Irwin area, Jonesboro. So, although I'm out on the road, I'll be home next week, and I'm gonna jump my pickup and go do what I can do, man, and hopefully we'll be able to organize something to get some bottled water down there. I plan on buying some myself and loading my pickup up and taking it down there and giving it out. So, appreciate everybody coming together, and next time, next time when everything's going good and you see people with the follow me posts, going to be a little easy on them, because of those posts, a lot of people are connected, and the word's spreading a lot faster right now. So God bless everybody pitching in, and thanks for all everybody's doing.
Well, thank you. And as a truck driver myself, I sincerely appreciate, I know the struggles. So possibly, Margot, could he get in touch with you about ways to get that water into some relief areas? Do you have those kind of connections down there, you or Cassie?
I do. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm working with Congressman Mark Walker. I can hook you up.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I know a lot of all that area that's affected is our motorcycle riding area, so we know the back road's pretty good to get in. So it won't be an issue getting in, I don't think, even if we have to go the long way around. But yeah, we're definitely going to try to do what we can do and get some water down there if people need it real bad.
We sincerely appreciate you jumping on here, and I'll give you a follow as well, and I'll be in touch. You need anything from us up this way, you know how to contact us. Reach out, and we'll help you however we can.
I sure appreciate you, man. Same here.
All right, we're going to do two more. I'm going to see. We'll do three real quick. Nathan, and then Window John, and then Zach. I'm going to let you come in, and that'll be the last one.
Yeah, on the speculation. So, man, I do have some questions, but now isn't the time, and here isn't the place. The dams, the infrastructure, the sending billions and trillions overseas while our infrastructure falls apart. Yeah, I have some questions, but right now we got to continue working for our fellow humans and our fellow hillbillies, I guess, and our fellow not hillbillies. I mean, a big thing that's getting, I see some of these Twitter posts from really ignorant people, pointing and laughing that this struck, red states so hard, not knowing anything about the localities of which they're speaking. I mean, Asheville and Boone are blue hives. I mean, politically speaking, Asheville is like right up there with like Los Angeles or something. Okay. I mean, I do not agree with the majority of that population, but as heritage Americans from this region, what do? We step up and help, and it doesn't really matter who they are or who they vote for. And, kind of a white pill on that. I've seen some posts going around X from, very, very liberal transplants that have found their way up there, suddenly starting to realize, who their neighbors are, and it's not some cartoon character of evil hillbillies and rednecks and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, that's positive. Maybe they can come together and figure out the real world. Pray for that. But yeah, I just got a message of one of the drop-off points I'll try to put it up in the top here in just a second. It's one of the drop off points for some of the helo missions that are going in. So yeah, I'll try to put it up here.
Excellent. All right, Window John, you had your hand up.
All right. Hello, Margot. Hello, everybody. Update from Cedar Mountain, excuse me. So southeast of Bernard, right on the border. We border with DuPont State Forest. Dropped a video that I made in the Purple Pill there. So we got a direct hit on this thing, folks, and I'm really fired up because this is a divine appointment for me. Empty nester, father of 5, just moved here in June. And I've been looking for work, and I haven't been able to get work. And I think Yahweh Father had some work for me with this storm. So, like I said, you could see the video. We were watching it, and then I walked 8 miles yesterday and photographed all the trees that were down on our little 6-mile road. Got down to the fire department today. We finally opened the road. We had 3 giant trees fall down. We got through those. Our neighbors, we all got together. There's free meals down there for us, 3 meals a day. Again, Duke Energy's telling us no power maybe for 2-3 weeks.
Did I find out real quick if there's any roads that are open for us to get up there from Wilmington, like up to Asheville and Canton?
Portable tank with his car help. They're in their 70s for work. And we're just going to, do what we can do in our community. But I met some great people. They were glad to meet me. We're all just going to help each other out. But it's amazing. I can't believe what happened in Boone and Asheville to see them underwater like that. There was a graphic on the Weather Channel this morning that showed a purple line and a white line from Boone to Asheville right to us. I mean, I just can't believe this landed right on my head, right in my lap. So I'm going to meet some great people. We're going to pray together. We're going to work together, and we're going to get this state, we're going to build it right back up because that's what we do, So I'm happy to meet you all. I hope we get a follow American Trucker. If you need a guy to ride around with you and distribute water, I'm available, my friend. You can follow me. We can DM each other. Margot, happy to get in your network. Obviously, we're going to take care of our people in our neighborhood first. The Baptist Church, 0.6 of the mile right down our road, had a huge tree. It didn't hit the building, but it fell right on their cemetery there. And those pictures are in my video there. It's about a 5-minute video, but we lost a lot of trees. Can't say anything about loss of life. Some people have sick family members, so they fled. They just said, hey, we got to take mom somewhere else. But like I said, we got our chainsaws. We did manage to get to Brevard today. There was a line outside the Walmart. Again, they don't have no electricity. So there was a line outside the Walmart. They ran out of fuel, but they had diesel. One of the sad things I saw was other people just raiding the place for beer. I'm like, come on, you had a natural disaster and your first call is to go for the alcohol? We can do better than that, folks. But like I said, nonetheless, I could see where the water had risen. I could see where it's receded now. We'll go get our eggs or whatever we need at the farmer's market. We're going to take care of people here. So like I said, 2 or 3 weeks. We have Starlink. We bought it 2 years ago before we had Spectrum cable. So we climbed up on the roof and reconnected that. So we're all neighbors helping neighbors here. So nice to meet you all. I hope you get to, like I said, see the video and hope to meet many of you in person. And in 55, I know my limitations, but I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get to work and get North Carolina back running. Thanks.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate the enthusiasm. Everybody needs to have that kind of mindset right now, even though it's difficult. I know everybody's somber and exhausted, but we need that kind of inspiration. So, all right, we're going to get to Zach real quick. He'll be the last one before we finish up with Margot and Cassie.
All right, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thanks for allowing me to speak. And it's always good to see Margot and Cassie because they're always burning up X. And there's no one that works harder on social media for North Carolina than them two, in my opinion. So, just a shout out to them. But I wanted to hop on here and say that I had been in Marion since Wednesday morning, and finally left late last night, and took forever getting home. I had to go up towards Winston-Salem, go down through High Point, just across certain rivers. It was pretty bad, and people were so tired because, I mean, these are people that were still going home, trying to find their way home, and they were getting in car wrecks on the way home, and they were making us drive around, such as what I did. But anyway, I was up there for a conference being held by Faith and Freedom at Nebo Crossing in Marion, and once that was canceled, the church instantly turned into a headquarters for emergency management there in McDowell County, and National Guard and Border Patrol and everyone else that you can think of. And I was really, really blessed to have the opportunity to be there and help them set up. I mean, it could not have worked out better. That place can seat and sleep so many people. It can feed many people if you have tables. And luckily, because of the conference, we had hundreds of chairs and several, probably 2 to 250, 6 to 8, and even 10-foot tables that we were able to set up for them as well for the first responders there. And we were able to clear out a soccer field for enough space for 3 Chinook helicopters at one time. So that was pretty awesome. I had to run a friend of mine to the hotel right down the road at the Hampton Inn, and we heard the Chinook go over there and then land. And then later today, I saw the picture from the National Guard. So that was pretty cool. And I've got a cousin over there right now with the National Guard. While I was over there preparing them for the headquarters and preparing to give over the facilities to FEMA, my cousin was spinning up with the National Guard, and turns out as I was riding home, he was riding up. So I'm home now, but there's several people without homes, and everyone's seen the videos, everyone's seen the pictures, but until you're there, it doesn't seem as real. And if you have family there, then you know it's real. So, and last update I got from someone in McDowell County was 2 hours ago that I didn't hear from for at least 36 hours. Very, very good close friend of mine. So I'm glad they have cell service now. So it sounds like the majority has cell service back there in McDowell County, but Caldwell County got more wind than McDowell County did, from what I'm hearing from my people over there that way. So anyway, I won't take up anyone else's time. I just want to push everybody to keep praying. There's a lot of work to do, and I'm going to get over there as soon as I can again.
Appreciate that update, and thank you all for speaking. Margot, Cassie, we'll let y'all two top us off right here with y'all's final thoughts.
Well, Miss Cassie, I'm going to let you go last because I feel like you're going to have the best things to say. I just want to say this. I met Cassie because we're Western North Carolinians. We're hillbillies. We know what hard work is. We know what family's about. We know what growing up here is all about. We know. And we know that there's like a code. Even if you're not from Western North Carolina, you may be from West Virginia. You may be from Kentucky. You may be from, I don't know, Virginia. You could be from any of those places, Georgia, but you're one of us, and we know it because we have a code. We're independent, religious. We are religious, and I'm not ashamed to say it. We take care of our neighbors, but we want you to mind your own business sometimes too. But bigger than that, we come together. We help each other. And I would just ask that we find a hashtag that we as Appalachians on this app can identify with, and we can lift each other up and help each other through these kind of crises, because this is not going to be a short-term crisis. It's a long-term crisis. And we need to be able to communicate with each other. I don't know what it's going to be, but we need a hashtag that I know I can go to, and I will find you. I can find Zach. I can find Cassie. I can find you, Appalachia, which, by the way, I love your podcast. And if you're not going to listen to this podcast, you need to be. If you're not following your neighbor on this app right here in front of you, you need to be, because that's how we help each other. And that's really what I want to say. We have a code. You know, everybody in Appalachia knows what decoration is. If you're not from Appalachia, this is our code. Sorry, you don't get to know. But if you know what it is, you know it means honor. You know that it means commitment. You know that it means remembrance. You know that it means work. It means coming together. That's what decoration means in Appalachia. It's a sad thing, but it's a happy thing. And I'm just going to leave you with that. Find a code, a hashtag that we can work together on. I'll build a website if we have to. I don't care. But I just want us to stick together and help each other. And this is not a short-term thing. It's a long-term thing for all of us, not just Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, West Virginia, Kentucky, Georgia. All of us got hit, and we are all together in this. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
Well, dang, Margo, it's going to be hard to follow up on that, sweetheart. I really just want to say, and I said it earlier, but I really want to drive this point home. Appalachia is treated like America's stepchild, and we always have been. And right now is the time when we need to force America to stop seeing us that way. It's time for us to stop being seen as the hillbillies and the rednecks and the people who don't matter, because it's old and it's tired and it's time for a change. So please, just like Margo said, we're neighbors and we live by a code, and we need to treat each other good and we need to lift each other up. And right now is the time for that. And thank y'all so much for joining us, and y'all have a good night.
Yeah, thank all y'all. And once again, make sure you're following Margo and Cassie. I appreciate y'all both coming on here tonight and finally actually getting to speak. I've followed you all for quite some time now. Y'all's love for North Carolina is the same love I have for Appalachia, and that's where our kind of Venn diagram crosses, and that's why we're able to come together in moments like this. And I appreciate the kind words about the show. That's exactly why I started the show a few years ago. The New York Times and Washington Post had come into my hometown and basically painted us as a bunch of yokel, backwoods, racist rednecks from BLM. So I brought BLM on the show and we hashed it out, because we're not those type of people. We're the type of people that help out a neighbor, whether we like you or not. We're the type of people that stop on the side of the road at midnight and help change a tire. We're the people who give our friends and family our eggs and don't charge them a thing. There's a certain aspect, as y'all were going into a minute ago, and that's why I want to bring to the mainstream. Cassie's absolutely right. The stereotype of hillbilly and backwoods, enough of that. We're here to talk about why Appalachia is cool. We're here to tell stories of moonshiners and musicians and anything you can think of. We don't limit ourselves at all. We're open to speak with anybody and making what is cool about Appalachia mainstream. So I think we all have a duty to continue doing what we're doing, and it's brought us here today under these they're terrible circumstances, but I certainly do appreciate everybody showing up. I think the enthusiasm is there. We've got to keep this enthusiasm for weeks, because this isn't going to be a slow process. You know how people have a short memory. We have to continue speaking about it and talking about it and making sure it doesn't fade away into irrelevance. I just wanted to thank Chip Slate from Being Libertarian for jumping on and hosting. Go give him a follow. They do great stuff for us in the Appalachian region. They're based right here in Southwest Virginia. Also, Smokey, he's at Appalachia Stanley. Him and Cassie have been doing phenomenal the past couple of days with links, with sharing information, all that kind of stuff. You can find that. I'll pin to their profiles. And also Matthew Rife Technology. Go give him a follow for a lot of the cool stuff he does beyond the things we're doing here today. And for everybody else that spoke, I honestly didn't anticipate this many people wanting to jump on and speak, so that's encouraging. You can find this, I guess, if you want to listen to the whole thing again on Spaces. We had two of them because one kind of fouled out, but I'm going to combine both of them and put them out as a podcast probably tomorrow. So check back on our page or our website at AppalachianPodcast.org and listen to it, and you can get some of the information, because listening to Billy Bolin earlier talk about getting caught right in the middle of it and then his drone footage is phenomenal. That's first person interview him. That's pretty cool. And he's a friend of mine. So make sure you're following him. And all right, buddy, I'm getting off. Thank y'all so very much for tuning in. And hopefully we can get back together in a few weeks and get back together and see how things are going.
I hang in there with a rowdy crowd. I drink too much and I laugh too loud. That's just me. That's how I'll always be. I roll my own every now and then. I love a good buzz with a few close friends. That's just me. That's how I'll always be. Won't hear me beg, I'm a bit too proud. I work my ass off for everything that I have. So let's take a drink, baby, raise your glass. This is for the few country boys like me that we still have. I believe hard work won't go unseen. I'm a big fan of chasing your dreams. That's just me. That's how I'll always be. The road to the top, it ain't no easy climb. But if you love what you do, I believe you'll be fine. That's just me. That's how I'll always be. Won't hear me beg, I'm a bit too proud. I work my ass off for everything that I have. So let's take a drink, baby, raise your glass. This is for the few country boys like me that we still have. I believe that God and Mama are your two best friends, but most of the time I don't listen to them. That's just me. That's how I'll always be. And I wait at the gates when it's my turn to fly, but I'll still raise hell until the day that I die. That's just me. That's how